I'm Garrett Bertram, and in this video, I'll share the process behind my latest painting, A Leap. Like most of my work, this is an imaginary landscape that began as a digital sketch. Here I'm transferring that sketch onto the canvas, making sure all the major elements are in the right place proportionally. If you'd like to see the full design process, I've already made a separate video about that. But before I move forward with this painting, let me take you back to the original inspiration, why this piece feels so special, and why it took me years to finally paint. A couple years ago, I went on a 5-day cycling trip across South Korea with friends. 3 days in, I was having a great time, but as we were nearing the finish, I started to feel a little disappointed. I had brought my heavy DSLR camera the whole way, but the photos just weren't that inspiring. But then, on the fourth day, well, this happened. I was completely awestruck. The photos don't even come close to doing it justice. In the middle of nowhere, with only the occasional rider passing by, we witnessed one of the most beautiful sights of our lives. In that fleeting light, I stopped and took dozens of photos, thinking the whole time how many people were missing the moment. Now, back to the painting process. I work in clear stages. First, a color digital sketch, and when that feels strong, I know the painting will eventually work. Then, a simple line drawing to transfer it to the canvas. Next comes a grayscale underpainting with a color stain, followed by a flat transparent color layer, then a final color layer, and then finally the finishing touches. Breaking the work into these checkpoints keeps the process manageable and helps me avoid big mistakes that would force me to backtrack. And that brings me to the heart of the painting. Time moves forward relentlessly, and that sky that day was so fleeting I couldn't stop photographing it. That's one reason I love painting skies. They're constantly changing, and if you're not present and paying attention, you'll miss them entirely. It took years to paint this piece because of other projects being ahead of it, but also because it took a lot of thought on the design. I wanted to move it forward from just a pretty view I once had, and instead let it reflect on other things I had been considering. I'm curious how it makes you feel, and I hope you enjoyed watching the process behind A Leap. If you'd like to purchase a painting or a print or see what I create next, follow along or visit my website. Until next time, take care.